we'll be covering something called MCP and why do we use MCP servers, what problem that it solves. So we'll try to just tell you with in layman terms, it is actually a type C port for all the everything whenever we are working on any AI automations or AI agents. So what happens? We'll try to explain about how exactly it has evolved over a period of time. So initially we came up with something called as LLMs, large language models like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and many more. Now what happened? These were like as isolated LLMs. So it you ask for search for a query and it gives you an answer. But the problem with this was it do not has the context, like what were the previous text that it has. It do not has the access to the web. If you remember, this was some of the problems that these LLMs have. So after some time, we were able to introduce something called as a web search. Perplexity come up with the same. Then we came up with something called we can even upload some of the documents so that LLM can understand that and give us certain answers. And in some of the cases like cursor, we can even interact with our code base so that the LLM can interact and LLM can give us the best answer because it has the context as well. It has the brain and as well as it has the context. Now the main problem that arises is that we have multiple integrations that can be done with AI. Multiple things are there in this entire processes. Now, as you remember that in order to connect all these, we have something called as the API. So multiple in order to connect multiple tools, we have multiple API documentation for each of the integration. So it's like whenever I need to connect my Claude with Stripe, Claude with GitHub, Claude with Slack. So every single time Claude has to follow a documentation, which is there on the Stripe. So this is the main problem. Like every single integration has their own API documentation, their own steps. So whenever we wanted to communicate Claude with GitHub or maybe Claude with Slack, now the problem is that Claude do not understand the language that Slack has and vice versa. So we come up with a very great solution called MCP. Now MCP is like the universal translator. So it's like whenever GPT wants to interact with Slack or SQL, it calls the MCP server. Then this MCP server, this MCP actually communicate with the relevant data source, and then it gets back to GPT or whatever LLMs that we are using. So it is an HTTP node for all the AI. So whatever with MCP, we can make the integration with multiple tools very easy. So we'll try to explain how exactly we will be using this in making AI agents. More or less, I will try to even help you build an AI agent in the session where you will not be using any of your um, brain to a great extent, but to a great extent, everything will be done by AI itself. You are supposed to just give it prompt. Then this is just the how the architect looks like. So firstly we have an MCP client, then we have an MCP server, and then we have the data source. So firstly, an MCP client is the first who initiates the conversation and asks for the same. And then MCP server translates the same query and then get the actual data to the MCP client. So this is how the entire MCP server and MCP yeah, works in this entire process. So I'll try to walk you through something called as the anti-gravity. You might have heard about this a lot in so I'll just open a new folder so that we are on the very same page. So let's just create a new folder and it an MCP. And then on select folder. Okay, so this is how the entire platform looks like. So on the left hand side, we have all the files. On the right hand side, we can interact with Claude and Gemini 3. So anti-gravity is built by Google itself, but they also provide the Claude Sonnet 4.5 and Claude Opus 4.5 integration in this model itself. So whenever we are working on this, we will be using 4.5 because in for the coding purpose for these types of tasks, Claude is actually rated as the best at the moment. Before I explain more about this, yeah. Okay, so this is N8, this is how the N8 cloud looks like. And I have also this N8 hosted on my um, Oracle cloud. So this is the previous version that I had, and you can actually access to to the MCP servers from the settings. So in the settings, whenever there's something called as the MCP access. So here you can actually connect your server URL and then interact with the other platforms. So we will be using this only. So and similarly, I will try to walk you through two different platforms so that you get a better understanding. So firstly, we will be trying to connect Lovable and N8 so that they can communicate with each other and work on automations. And then we will also try to connect our N8 with this anti-gravity. So before I just begin with some of the project and explain how do we connect that, in case any of you wanted to ask anything, I'll be happy to help you out. Was What is the difference between anti-gravity IDE and VS Code? There is not much differences as such. It is more or less same only, but anti-gravity has this free Claude 4.5 access. For that reason, people are using that. However, if you have Claude code, so it is better if you can just use that in your VS Code itself. But we don't have the free access to this Claude. For that reason, we are using anti-gravity. Can you just sum it till now? We just discussed about the basics, what exactly MCP servers are, what problem it is actually solving. So nothing. So it actually acts as it just helps the different platforms to connect because every single tool, every single integration has their own document API documentation. So this problem is actually been solved by MCP, which acts as the universal translator for these AI agent, AI LLMs and the different integration, Slack, GitHub, etc., etc. So, for example, guys might have remember one of the projects that we previously built, which was this the newsletter automations that we built, where we had a front end with this N8. Front end was on a Lovable, and the back end was on this N8. Now, if you guys remember, we used to give it the prompts like this is something I have built in my N8 and I want you to create a front end. I want you to add these elements and this is the webhook URL that you want to change. Now the main problem with this, what we were supposed to teach Lovable that this is something in my N8 instance, and I want you to make want you to make the front end for the same. Now what if Lovable can directly talk to N8 and get those workflow that we have built and create a front end? What do you think? Don't you think it would be really great? Is there is any disadvantages of using MCPs? I haven't came across any disadvantages as such since I have been using MCPs um, so far. I couldn't recall anything um, at the moment. Yeah, sometimes what happened, yep, there is only one. There is only one problem that I have faced so far was the debugging when I was trying to automate the entire process with NAT and MCP. So basically, if I show you, okay, I have just turned it off. So I was trying to make these AI agents with the MCP servers itself, where I was using this Claude 4.5. So Claude 4.5 was responsible for creating this N10 AI agents or AI agents or N10. So there were certain problems which I faced while debugging the issues. However, to a great extent, MCPs are not an issue. Hallucination, I don't think so. It is a problem because it is just helping us connect with the different tools. So, so hallucination is not a problem in this specific case scenario. However, I have taken one session on something called as RAG agents, where I have explained what exact problem is associated and how do we fix that with RAG agents. So, in case you wanted to understand more about it, so the recordings has been already shared. You can refer to that. I am personally wanted to build one of my automation. Okay, so okay, great. So after the session, you will be able to do that, Munya. So for that, for example, we have multiple workflow which has been built over here. For example, this is one of the automations that we have previously built, if you guys remember. Um, so here we have a schedule trigger. Um, so let's first of all try to add a webhook trigger. It will be better because we wanted to connect this. Okay, so this project has been previously shared in the community. You can, if you wanted to build this project from the very scratch over there, you can do that. So in this specific session, I'll try to walk you through two different things. Number one, we will be using the Lovable as a platform, and then we will be also using Antigravity. So let's first of all, let me tell you how do you connect N10 using this MCP. So you need to go to setting. So once you go to Lovable and go to the setting, and there you will find something called as a connector. Look for N10. Hit on N10 and click on connect. Now it is asking for the server URL. So what happens whenever you're trying to connect your Lovable with and it and using MCP. So it only accepts the HTTPS, not HTTP. So it only connect to secure services. Meanwhile, in my case, it is actually hosted on Oracle Cloud, and I don't have this HTTPS as you can see at the moment. So we will be using this specific automation at the moment because N8N Cloud itself, because in this specific scenario, we have something called as uh, an at level instance with this HTTPS. So we will be using this only. So we got the server URL. So once you click on connection details, get the server URL and then just paste it over here and click on add and authorize. Just click on allow. You'll soon be redirected. Okay. Okay. Now as we can see that it has now connected. Okay, now our N10 instance is connected with Lovable. Now what we will try to do, first of all, we need to turn this on, AI agent one. Okay. So firstly, we need to give the turn on the MCP. So you need to, let's publish this first. And as you can see, there are 1/4. You need to click on over here and hit on enable MCP. So it is already turned on. You need to just hit on enable MCP and then click on turn on the MCP. I'll try to explain with another example. Let's publish this. Got it. So you need to hit on like MCP access and just click on available in MCP and hit on save. So this is all you need to do. So from here, you can see that there are instance level MCP. Here we have two different automations which has been enabled for MCP access. Now all both of these automations that we have built can be accessed by Lovable without any context that we don't need to give any context. It can directly talk to these two automations that we have built. So for example, we can just write a very simple prompt instead of writing those very longer prompt with context, the relevant credentials. I'll just say I have a automation. Uh, I have a workflow in my N8N. Then we need to just give the name of the automation, or maybe just this workflow ID. So this last part is called as the workflow ID. So we can just either give it the workflow ID or just the name. So we can just give it the name. In my init 10 instance with name, I want you to create a front end for this. That's it. Now, what will happen in this case? It will directly connect with my this specific automation. We'll search, okay, this is the webhook URL. These are the elements involved. This is the entire automation that uh, is available. Now it will just ask for some permissions, like it will search for that automation that we have given. Then it will access that, and then it will create the front end for us. So okay, now it is asking for one more permission, and we have just given the relevant permission. Now it can actually access the relevant tool. So as you can see that it can just connect. We can see that it has the context. It has basically understood everything. Now it is creating a front end for us. So with N810 MCP and MCP, as you can see that we were able to connect our N810 directly with our Lovable without any problem. And we were able to create the front end without giving the context and longer prompts like we used to do previously. So this is the power of MCP that is there at the moment. In case any of you wanted to ask anything, I'll be happy to interact at this point of time and take up your queries, because this will take some time. Meanwhile, we can just wait. Any of you wanted to ask anything? Can you sum up what has been taught till now? Because I had joined late. We will share the recordings. You can cover from there. So MCP in short terms is like a bridge between two things. Not just two things, but between multiple things. Instead of using API, MCP is way better because MCP can uh, help us not just connect, but it can help the two different platform uh, coordinate and communicate with each other. Okay, I hope this has been created. Oops. Okay, as I hope my screen is visible again. Yep. So as you can see that it has created this entire automation where it has created the front end for us. It has fetched the topic. As you can see, even the template that you guys can see in this specific case scenario is actually as same as the template that we had fetched previously. So this is again you can do in order to use this entire automation. So this is how the entire thing work. So in this automation, it is just acting as a trigger because we have all the necessary topics in the sheet. In case we wanted to add something, we would have done that previously, but we have not included that yet in this entire automation. So this is how like the entire automation works. We have just connected our init with this Lovable, and they can now interact with each other. Now this is the very first level thing that you can do. But what if uh, this Lovable can create workflow for us, or maybe we have an existing workflow that can be edited for another use cases? Well, that cannot be done with Lovable. So for that reason, we will be using something called as anti-gravity and their integration. So in case any of you wanted still have any doubts, so whatsoever we have done, we can pick that up. Then we'll explain about how do we use anti-gravity connected with and at an MCP server, because there we don't get the direct integration between the two. What if I want to add some feature in my workflow? You can do that manually, or maybe you can just use anti-gravity for the same. I wanted to include anti-gravity in this session because with anti-gravity, things have evolved over a period of time. Like we don't need to manually make automations. We can even create automations with just simple prompts and then debug it later on. Secondly, with anti-gravity, you can even build end-to-end prototypes and validate it. However, to a great extent, it is not scalable, but because you need to bear some more and more um, API, which can be done. But with how many platform you have using MCP, actually, this anti-gravity can connect with all the MCPs available right now. We can connect with Firebase, BigQuery, um, Looker, then Neon, Notion, Linear, PayPal, Supabase, and many more. And in case any integration is not available, we can actually click on Manage MCP and configure more and more new MCPs. So that's not actually a concern. We can actually connect more and more um, MCPs in anti-gravity. Wait, it's not the right. The fronted by these vibe coding tools look like very generic or provide with references. Yeah, okay, I'll try to walk you through how exactly anti-gravity or any you can provide references to these tools, and then it can work accordingly. In this case, I didn't give any much context because I just wanted to show how it actually works. That can be done, and I have used that previously. And uh, the front end which is being made by these AI after the relevant context is way is very, very great as I have previously used. Anti-gravity will be connecting. Is an IDE. Cloud has the ability to connect to NET and MCP. Look, and the both has the ability to connect to NET and MCP. But in order to connect to these Claude with NET and MCP, you need to have the pro version of the same. But the credits, but with anti-gravity, the number of credits that you get is very sufficient to complete your entire project. So you get many credits in comparison to this Claude or this Lovable. You get many credits with anti-gravity. So that's not a concern in this specific scenario. Secondly, you can just actually save your project in your local file, and then you can switch your account and use this again and again and again. So that's not a concern. Okay, I'll now walk you through what anti-gravity is and what how do we connect with NET and MCP and so on. So this is how this entire anti-gravity looks like. So it is just like an IDE only similar to VS Code only. But in this anti-gravity only, you can actually plan, and you get two modes. There's the planning mode and the fast mode, where agent will execute task directly without planning. So these are the two modes. And secondly, you get something called as the different models. So you have Gemini 3, you have Claude Opus, you have Claude Sonnet, you have GPT OSS. Now in this, all of out of all these models, Claude Sonnet 4.5 is considered as the best model for these purposes. So the very first thing that you do, so this is not the very first screen that you will be seeing. In this session only, I created a one folder. So it is this very same folder that you can see. This is the folder that we have, which is actually empty. And we have just opened this specific folder in anti-gravity IDE environment. So this is how it looks whenever we connect with Steam. Now, the very first thing that we should try to understand is how do we connect our NET and MCP with anti-gravity. So you need to go to this specific three button additional options on the right hand side and search for MCP servers. And over here, you won't get NetN. As you can see, we don't have NetN integration. In order to connect that, we need to click on Manage MCP Server. As you can see that I have already integrated the same and it has enabled. So let's uh, click on this View Raw config file. So it will, we get a JSON folder file. So we need to just clean this up. Then we need to go to something called as uh, this N10 only. And over here in this connection part only, you will have something called as our docs section or this action access token. So I won't be able to share this part because of privacy concern. After that, after I made this a relevant configuration, I'll share my screen again. Okay. So I have actually created this access. So you need to suppose click on access token and over here or use the following code in your mcp.json file. So you need to just click on that and head towards this MCP configuration and then just click on just to paste the same file that same text that you have copied over from anytime and then paste it over and hit on save. Then you will be able to connect to your anytime. So I have already done that using my as you can see that I have already done that and it can actually search workflows, it can execute workflow, it can get the workflow details. All right, I need to configure it once again. Okay, upon refreshing, yes, now I'm able to connect my n10 with my instance. So it can just get the relevant access to my workflow that we have built, even execute that and search that. Now in this session, I'll try to walk you through how exactly we can uh, use this n10 and this MCP in order to create workflows without interacting with this n10 manually. So firstly, we need to drag and drop something called as this claw.md file that, which has been shared in the group itself. So we'll just drop it over here. Uh, okay. So here, as you can see, you can see in this markdown file, we have three things in the environment section. Firstly, we have the n10 instance, then we have the MCP servers, and then the MCP skills. Now, in order to get the relevant, I'll walk you through. Firstly, we have the MCP server. So in order to teach anti-gravity about MCP servers, I came across something called as MCP server GitHub repo of by which was made by some individual and posted the same on GitHub. So we will be using this specific repository in order to teach n10 about the n10 MCPs. And then we will be using these n10 skills by the same individual in order to teach anti-gravity how to actually create workflow, like what are the different triggers, how how the expressions are been written in n10 so that it can interact with the same. So firstly we'll try to give more and more context to this anti-gravity and teach about the MCP servers. So first of all, let's uh, give the relevant MCP details to anti-gravity and let's say learn about MCP servers from this repo. Now what it will do, it will actually learn about what are the different things that it can do. Now There are two things that I wanted to share with you all. Firstly, in this entire N8N MCP, we can do only three things without an API. We can get the details of the different automations that we have built. We can search the different automation and we can run those automation. But in order to make changes and in order to create new workflows, we need something called as an API. But recently, or I couldn't remember when exactly, N8N has removed their N8N API from here. It was there in their previous automation. I mean, previous versions. Like this is one of the previous versions that I'm using, and you might be able to find that in your localhost. N8N API. So as you can see that N8N API is available with this specific version, but I'm unable to find that in the new version that they have. So in order to directly communicate and make the relevant changes or make new workflow with this specific anti-gravity integration itself, this is not possible with this specific version, but we have the relevant API keys in this specific scenario with the previous version that I'm using, which is the 1.12 only. So the N8N API integration is available in this specific version, but in this specific version, which is I guess 2.4 or I guess 4.2, I couldn't remember it, 2.4.1. In this specific version, we don't have the N8N API integration. So that is the issue in this specific scenario. However, we can actually get the details. We can ask N8N, this anti-gravity or the cloud, whatever we are using, to give me a JSON file with the by just editing the problem, by just editing the existing workflow, or maybe create a new workflow by explaining what exactly we have in our mind. So it can give us a JSON file that can be added manually. That can be done. So what we will be doing, firstly, it has understand about what are the different things that it can do with the MCP server. So even in this specific scenario, it has given me the relevant answers. Okay, so it has just explained that what it can do. It can explain, it can trigger and help me create new um, workflows as well. So this is something that we can do with MCP servers. Then in order to teach this MCP skills, we will just copy this repo again and then we'll ask anti-gravity learn about N8N skills. Now it will take some more time to learn about the different uh, skills of N8N, like what are the different nodes available, how do we write the expression, and what are the purpose of the different tools which is available over N8N. So it is just analyzing the content learning on its own from the N8N skills that we have. So these are the very first steps that needs to be done so that anti-gravity can learn and can connect with N8N. So in case I feel this was very technical so far what I haven't discussed. So in case any of you wanted to ask anything or have confused, just let me know. Why is it important? Isn't it integrated? Actually, it is not because of that reason we are teaching him to learn about the same. I mean, to a great extent, it knows about how it works, but sometimes I have faced while I was previously working. So I have faced problems with this that it was not able to give me the correct responses while I was working with anti-gravity. It was not using the correct nodes which was supposed to be used by this anti-gravity while working on these projects. So just providing the N8N skills enhances the ability of anti-gravity to work on to create and debug the workflows that we have created. A difference between Lovable and Antigravity. Um, Lovable is just a vibe coding tool we're using which you can create certain application. The core difference is that in case of Antigravity, you have it is locally hosted on your PC. So whatever project that you're building that cannot be shared with anyone, that project needs to be hosted on Vercel or maybe Netlify, then only you can share that. Secondly, in case of anti-gravity, you get it is more reliable in comparison to Lovable, because in case of N10, what happens? It actually plans with yourself. Like, this is something that it has been doing. It is something that it has done, and it will actually give you the exact problem that you are facing. But in case of Lovable, it do not do that. Additionally, in case it has created this entire workflow, so it actually tests it out whether it is working or not. Whereas in case of Lovable, we are supposed to do that manually and then let Lovable know that we are facing this issue, please fix this, etc., etc. So it's like the core differences between N10 and uh, I mean this anti-gravity and Lovable that I have seen so far. What does MCP server skills you have copied from GitHub? User, does it more related to tech? Couldn't get your point. N10 can be self-hosted. Yes, it can be. You can host it locally on your PC using Docker, or you can even use Oracle Cloud, or maybe this Hostinger, maybe AWS EC2 to host it on your cloud or maybe your local device. Anyone else? To submit a vendor is better than Lovable minus the hosting part. Yes, it is better for sure. Hosting can be done as well. I mean, hosting is not a big deal. You can push the code, whatever the code which is being made by by anti-gravity. You can push it to GitHub and host it. Does Oracle support webhook function? Yes, it does. Okay, so it has like understood what exactly the different skill sets have. Then it has also understood about N10 MCPs and MCP servers. Now, I'll try to give him in this specific scenario. Now it can connect with my all the workflow that I have built and even help me build something around the same. So, for example, I can just ask anti-gravity to firstly let's try to interact only. Can you access my workflows that I have built? Let me just give him the instance ID as well. This was not. This is my N10 instance. Okay, it can actually see the workflow that I have built, but it can, yes, it can see the workflows that I have built and it has actually understood what are the different things available. It can search, it can get the workflow details, it can execute workflow. Well, API access. Okay. Now we can even ask this anti-gravity to help me improve this specific workflow, or maybe I can ask him to build a front end for the same with whatsoever I have made in this specific scenario with Lovable. But I'll try to uh, ask something called as I have to build an automation for any use case, maybe for analyzing the stock for any project. Um, so in this specific part, I want your participation and help me give me some project ideas, because in this specific scenario, I will be asking anti-gravity only to create that automation for us. Since it has the relevant skills, it has the access to N10 servers as well. So do you guys have any suggestion for any project? Maybe a stock automation, maybe a research agent. You can give me anti-gravity is useful that we not need to quickly proof for $20 and get the of Claude. Yes, exactly. Oracle actually comes with anti-gravity comes with free N10, free Claude 4.5 and Opus. So that is the case. Yes. Do you guys have any suggestion for any project that we can build with anti-gravity itself? Stock agent. Okay. Now let's. Okay. Audio is not supported. Let's use ChatGPT then. Hey, I wanted to make an AI automation, AI agent, which can analyze the technical and fundamental analysis, can do the fundamental analysis of a company and give me a recommendation whether I should invest in that company or not. So I am using anti-gravity to create this entire automation with an MCP integration. I want you to give me a detailed prompt so that I can fetch the same information to anti-gravity. So maybe if you have like Cloud Code actually responses are way better, and it actually debugs the issue way better than anti-gravity. So okay, just copy the content. Have not even read this in detail. Now what will happen? It has given the relevant information to this anti-gravity, that I need the market cap, I need the PE, I need debt to equity ratio, etc., of this specific stock. I want you to go through these technicalities, analyze the business quality, financials, also the fundamentals and the technical. And in order to get this relevant details of the different tools, of the different matrices that we have just pointed out, in order to yes, I want you to build an AI or automation only. Hmm. So it will just take some time. So it is actually planning at the moment, not working on this entire automation itself. So it will come up with something called as the implementations plan. So for example, if we have to work on this project from the very scratch, what we would have done, we would have find out the relevant tools, likewise in this specific case scenario, we need the company overview, their fundamentals, not their trend direction, their momentum, entry zone, risk zone. Then we need the business quality, growth, consistency, profitability, quality, etc. Then in technicalities, we need these details. For fundamentals, we need these details. So in order to fetch these details, we would have firstly research what exact things that we can do, what exact APIs which will be involved. So that process will be done by anti-gravity itself. So it is planning at the moment. and it has come with something called as an implementation plan. So it has given us the necessary details, like in order to get these information, we need the following API keys, and it has even let us know that it offers 25 requests only. Then these are the different warnings. Okay, it has also access to our current um API keys, which not API keys, it has the access to current models that we are using. It has actually created an entire workflow architect. Like we have a workflow trigger, webhook trigger, then we have the stock parse trigger. Then it will fetch the necessary fundamental data, technical data. Then it will merge all data. Then it will give the data to AI agent. And then it will format the output and then it will return to a specific response. So this is the entire workflow which has been uh, drafted by AI agent. Now at this point of time, we will give the necessary information and this approval to AI agent, whether uh, this is the flow that we wanted to go forward with, or do we need any changes. So we can just give relevant information like use and it use form instead of a webhook. Anything else that can be done? Okay, rest looks fine. So we can just give this a specific um, follow-up answer to this anti-gravity. Now it will actually make the necessary changes to the implementation plan, and then it will follow that the same. So it's like, first of all, it creates a PID document, which will be followed by this anti-gravity. So in this very step, we will be we will be the one responsible to review the entire plan and then just give a green flag to the senator and this anti-gravity, and he will work ahead. So it has actually created an entire task which will be done by the anti-gravity. So in the planning phase, it will be doing these things, and then it will be doing these things, and it will even test the sample stock ticker with the relevant output and then verify the output format. So all these things will be done by um, anti-gravity. So okay, I can just give the answer like, yeah, it looks great. We can move ahead with the development. Anyone who wanted to ask anything, whatever we have done and we are discussing so far? This one. So it will return to us with something called as a JSON file that can be used further. I'm out of my credits. How Claude Claude Other is different from all existing stuff. Claudebot. Are you referring to Claudebot by any chance? KSK. Okay, so as you can see that it has created an entire workflow for us in the JSON format. It is now let me create comprehensive documentation for using this. It is now even creating us a documentation so that we can follow the same in the further steps. So just copy the path. Let's go to our NA10. Let's create a new workflow instead. Import from file. Love it. Yeah. Okay, so we will be using the same. Let's search for this. Okay, so this was the file. So it has basically created an entire automation for us. Now, as in this entire process, you can see that there were certain problems that, as you can see that there were four different inputs. However, it has only three. So that needs to be fixed by us only. Then it has the structure, it has the relevant things. Yeah. Rest of the automation seems cool. The rest, the only problem that we can see in this specific case was it has like only two outputs, and it failed to connect the rest of the inputs. So these are some of the problems that you might face while automating this entire while working on with anti-gravity. But when I had worked previously with Claude Code responses were way better comparatively. So this way you can actually create this entire automation with just one prompt, a detailed prompt, where you can just ask. Hmm. Now it has given us the relevant documentation, like how do we connect the different API that which has been used over here. For example, in order to fetch the company profile, it is using the financial modeling prep.com ka API. And in order to, it has created this everything. We need to just get the API key, and the documentation for the same is available over here. We can just get the API key from the sources that has been cited, and then just replace the different API keys over here. So this way we can actually save a lot of time while working on the AI agents and while working with this anti-gravity. And the one that we have built over here, this can be done by anti-gravity itself. We need to just ask to create a front end. This is the entire model that we have. This is the entire AI agent and automation we have built, and it is capable of doing the same as well. So I just wanted to show you a comparison, like how do anti-gravity and Lovable works and how do they differ, what are the different capabilities that this anti-gravity has, and to what extent it has evolved over a period of time. Now, more things that you can do is that in over here only in the MCP servers, you can connect Firebase, so you can add the authentication in your application that you will be building. Then you can connect Supabase, so you can even attach a DB um, for your entire work that you are building and whatsoever you have you're building throughout the project. So these are the multiple integrations MCPs are available on this platform itself. Secondly, the best thing is that you get free Claude 4.5, so you can do that as well. So this is the entire automation which was made with anti-gravity with just simple text prompts. So this way things have evolved over a period of time. Okay, so how CloudBot is different. CloudBot can be hosted on your PC, so you can basically interact with that CloudBot and get some of the things done. Like it can uh, use your WhatsApp, it can use your Telegram, it can use your Facebook, and you can just ask him to do XYZ things, all a set of tasks, and that will be performed by CloudBot. This is something I am aware of at the moment because uh, CloudBot, I have not tried CloudBot yet because it is still in beta, and even the developer of CloudBot has recommended to not try it yet for so just for the security reasons I have not yet used that. Maybe I will be installing that in near future on one of my Cloud, but at this point of time I have not yet explored CloudBot because of security, mainly security reasons. Hopefully, in coming days, maybe 2 3 weeks, I will try that for sure. Okay, I hope this entire session was value additive, and this you might have learned new things like how do we use anti-gravity to create AI automations with text prompts and so on. In case you guys have any doubts or wanted to ask anything, we can have one doubt session for this RAG and MCP whatsoever we have discussed, because these were the most important and like the most technical topics that we have discussed so far. So we'll be scheduling the same near future. We'll let you know about the further details soon. Let me turn off the recordings now.